I'm Commissioner Gage. I'm going to call the meeting of 9/15/2020 to order. This is the Board of Commissioners of Weber County at 3:30, a little outside our normal time, but we've arranged it to meet with some important meetings this morning. To my right, Commissioner Jim Harvey is with us, and to my left, Commissioner Scott Jenkins. I appreciate them being with us on this day. And for all those in attendance.
Commissioner Gage, I'm going to call the meeting of 9/15/2020 to order. This is the
Little delay, Bill.
Little delay. Okay, so with that, we're going to go into the agenda items. We're going to start with a Pledge of Allegiance by Scott Mendoza. Our invocation will be given by Commissioner Jenkins. Side of the day, Commissioner Harvey. And then we would love to hear from, I think, members of the audience. So let's start with Pledge of Allegiance. Scott.
We all please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee this day, we give thanks for the opportunity we have to be here as public, to watch their government work, as commissioners to participate in that, and as all those who help us in conducting and running this meeting. We give You thanks. We're grateful, Heavenly Father, for the wonderful citizens of this county. As we've looked at the last week or 10 days that's gone by, and the harsh weather conditions that have been upon this county, we're so emboldened by the citizenry and the amount of volunteerism that has come out to help people as this catastrophe has truly overwhelmed us. We're grateful, and we speak gratitude to Thee and to our citizens. We pray now Thou watch over and bless us in this meeting. Thy Spirit will attend us, that the things that are said and done here will be in accordance with Thy holy mind and will, and for the benefit of the citizenry of this county. We give You thanks for all You've done for us, Father, and we say it in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On this day, 6 and a few more years, decades ago, Mom and Dad Froer welcomed into their home a new baby boy named Gage. What a lovely child. We have a little presentation that we'd like to make today. For those of you involved in this presentation, let's formulate that now, please.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow is right.
Wow is right.
You're after Chris.
We're good.
Scooch in. Well, yeah, with the masks on.
Yes. Yes. Put him behind you. Put him behind you. There.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gage. Happy birthday to you.
Wow, thank you very much. That was very, very well sung. Thank you. Much appreciated. Let's see, who's this young lady at the mic?
Happy birthday to the best commissioner. Sorry, Jim and Scott. The best grandpa, husband, adventurous, hardworking, and most hilarious grandpa I know. P.S. Thanks for getting me a goat. Love you, Grandpa. Happy birthday.
Thanks, McCarty. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Gloria.
Thank you so much for your participation. That was fun. Happy birthday, Gage.
Thank you. What a surprise. Thanks, guys. Very special.
Why Gloria's putting that on there with your balloons, that's great. You know, it films rather quite nicely there. Looks good on camera.
Does the elephant have any significance, McCarty? Okay, all right.
They couldn't find the goat. So
Well, the truth be known, we couldn't find the elephant because Axel got to it first. So we had to find where Axel put it. That's our goal.
not to detract from the thought, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair,
go
but
ahead.
if I could take another moment too.
Go ahead.
You know, on this day a week ago, we didn't hold our commission meeting. What a blessing that ended up being. But we did, according to what Steve Rush with Rocky Mountain Power said to Commissioner Frohr, it was the worst storm in the history of our area as it related to downed power lines. What a catastrophe for many of the communities, especially along the South Rim, out of the canyon areas of Pleasant View, out of the Riverdale, Washington Terrace, Uinta, South Ogden. Just unbelievable amount of devastation, and it's still cleanups going on. It's been heartwarming to watch people help people they don't know, just to show care. You know, it's one of my favorite sayings is, people who give money give much. People who give time give more. And people who give love give most. We've seen so much care and love, and over the last week, we appreciate so many who have, in their way, been able to help others. It might be just a simple kind gesture or reaching out, or it might have been a guy with a chainsaw. It might have been volunteers helping unload trailers, or men with their own equipment just volunteering their own tractor time and gas and trailer time and willingness to serve with their time. So we recognize that as a commission. Our hearts go out for those of you who suffered during this, but we also can say that we're very grateful that there was no loss of life, hardly no injury at all. Just some things that can all be rebuilt. And so one of the harder things that I came across was a gentleman who for 60 years of his life had spent meticulously taking care of his yard, only to have lost it all within a few hours, literally all. He had one tree of about 7 or 8 that was left standing, and of course it was left behind huge root balls and everything else like that. And he knows that he may not have time, and he's in his 80s, late 80s, to rebuild it all. But this was his gift to the beautification as his families would come over. And so just be mindful, there's a lot of sensitive things out there still, and if you just happen to have a couple hours, I would strongly encourage you to go through Pleasant View or Riverdale or Washington Terrace or South Ogden or Upper Uinta or Lower Uinta. And you don't probably even have to ask, just go to work, taking things out to the street or just offering some kind of help. I'm sure it'd be appreciated. And those are my thoughts today. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. And I want to also give my thanks to all those people citizens that pitched in, especially Commissioner Jenkins and Harvey. I was actually out of state during that time frame, so I missed all the excitement and hard work, but the county was in great hands when I was gone, and the accolades that we've received from the county perspective and especially Commissioner Harvey and Jenkins that pitched in and helped these cities that were hard hit are very much appreciated. So thank you very much for what you did. And I wouldn't expect anything less from the citizens of Weber County. We all pull together on these occasions, and that's just how we function here in Weber County. So, but it's great to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
it should also be stated that the work's far from done.
Yeah. it's
I
not
mean,
done
the
yet.
trees have been cleaned up pretty much. I mean, the country club and a few other places like that, they still got a ways to go. But the issues we have now is all these root balls. Man alive, it gets to be a point where it's hard to know what to do, because as a government, we can't go out in people's yards and lift these root balls out. And along with the root ball, we seen one. There was a picture of one that was sent to us, and right in the middle of the root ball was the water line that went through. So, you know, if you start picking root balls up, you're going to pick up water lines and secondary water lines and power lines and gas lines, and you don't know what you're getting. So you have to be very careful, and this gets to a point where we can't take the liability upon ourselves to do that kind of stuff. Now, we have offered a discounted price and a location to put this, which is in itself significant. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
And I believe we cut the cost significantly for that.
Right, we did.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that. Anything else before we go into public comments? All right, let's, I don't see that we have any members of the public here. If anybody would like to come up that I'm not recognizing, now's the time to do it. Do we have any comments online, Shelley? Great.
Hold on. There's a couple comments I'd like to make about what's this. There's a couple of things significant about right now.
Okay.
First of all, if you walk out on the west side of our building, you'll notice that parking structure is down.
East
Now-
side.
Or the east side. What did I say? The west? Yeah, I meant the east side. And you'll notice that it's not hauled away. It's still there, but it's down. And for most of us in the building, we're grateful of that, especially those who happen to be on the east side of the building, because they've been next to that now for 4 or 5 weeks, and all they hear all day long is boom, 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 boom. It's been a little amazing. Secondly is on the way down the canyon, I see the contractor unloading
I saw that.
a backhoe at the Wildwood Bridge, Mr. Scott Mendoza. Or is it Wildwood? Is that your, yeah. Well, I'm amazed.
Yeah, you said that was not quite ready to go.
Well, I didn't think it was, but the fact that we're actually going to get that thing taken care of in the next week or two, I am so excited about. That's one of those things that's been on our plate for a while, and you just couldn't hardly get it taken care of. And, you know, we finally did it, and I tell you, I will be glad to put that behind us. You know, once again, we're cleaning up what other commissioners have done. And in this case, it went all the way back to Bill Bailey, I think, was the one who signed that Limar, that had that signature on. And so we're going back a long ways. But it's done now. And Sean, I hope we send the notice out to those people in that subdivision now, so they know what's happening and that they know that we're not going to do it again.
Yes.
Okay, sounds great.
So once this work is done, it's my understanding we're now through.
done.
We're through the bridge business, at least there.
That's right.
Okay.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. All right. Seeing no public comments, hearing that nobody's online. Shelley, is that correct? No, it's on. Okay, let's move this on to consent items, if we might. And again, as Commissioner Harvey mentioned, we were not here in session last week, so we have probably a few additional consent items, so there might be some questions on it. So let's start with consent items F1. Request for approval to ratify warrants 3045 through 3062 and 452-516 through 452-626 in the amount of $993,177.12, dated September 8, 2020. 2, request for approval of warrants 3063 through 3076 and 452-627 through 452-782 in the amount of $469,906.80. 3, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $682,707.45. 4, request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on September 1, 2020. 5, request for approval of ACH payments to U.S. Bank in the amount of $154,052.50. 6, request for approval of new business licenses. 7, request from the Weber Morgan Health Department for approval to surplus office nursing and outdoor equipment. 8, request from the Surveyor's Office for approval to surplus a Honda generator. 9, request for approval of ratification of a contract by and between Weber County and CR Lighting and Electrical, Inc. for the upgrade to PET lighting systems. 10, request for approval of ratification of a contract by and between Weber County and the DGO Group for marketing of the 2020 Weber County Fair. 11, request for approval of a master agreement between Weber County Library System and the Prescott Muir Architects for the services provided under multiple service contracts order. 12, request for approval of a master agreement between Weber County Library System and the Prescott Muir Architects for services provided under multiple service orders. Order number 01. 3, request to declare parcel number 137512 as surplus real property. Commissioners, that's the consent items. Any questions, comments?
I have all kinds.
Go ahead, start.
All right, first of all, number 11, request for approval of a master agreement between Weber County Library and Prescott Muir Architects. I've received nothing that tells me what that is or the purpose of it.
It's in your packet. It's attached to the agenda.
I might be able to provide a little bit of insight on that.
Commissioner Harvey, that's your portfolio.
Let me go.
Normally they come and make a presentation to us on things like this.
They did, Commissioner. They came and made a presentation, but it's been several weeks, almost a couple, 3 months now since it was, and this is now formalizing that presentation from that long ago.
Was this the part of the contract with the Huntsville Library? And
Yeah, all that other.
Okay.
Okay.
You
So
wanna-
I'm mistaken.
You want to explain?
No, those were just,
No, you don't need to, if that's what it was.
okay.
And Commissioner, if I spoke with Brian Barron this morning, and he was the attorney that reviewed this contract, and so he's looked at both of them. He confirmed that the county followed the RFP process in selecting the architect, and it's related in part to damage that was sustained to our county library buildings during the earthquake back in March.
So if it has to do with the damage on that, I would never receive a presentation on that.
Yeah, it's all in order. We feel really good about it, and because they were the original architects on the project, and they went through the bid process and was awarded right, this is the proper thing to do.
Okay. You know, it upsets me a little that they don't feel like they have to come talk to me on that.
Well, we can make different arrangements on that, but in as much as that's in my portfolio, and I'd be happy to, we could change that process on that.
Well, you talk about a process, but normally when you approve something like this, I don't care who it is, it's always been common courtesy to come and talk to the people who are voting on it.
Well, I thought that we did have a presentation.
They
from-
did come in, and Linda sat down with all three of us in a work session several weeks ago, and we did talk about this.
All right? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm wrong. I'll accept that.
I'm not,
I can't remember the details, but I remember her presenting
Okay.
that and showing the
Second,
plans.
I have other questions here I want to
ahead.
talk about on the warrants. First of all, first one is Geneva Rock Products, Treasure, Suspense, Trust, Escrow, and Disbursement. Can you tell me what project that is on? I mean, I'm assuming it's on West 12th. But when you list these the way you do, I don't have any way to know that.
That is the Geneva Rock. That's for $217,000. That. Just a second. That's actually escrow release for Overlook.
For Overlook. What is
The
Overlook?
subdivision.
It's a subdivision.
Oh, subdivision.
Powder Mountain.
Powder Mountain.
Very good. All right, I'm okay with that. Next is Randy Merritt Construction Stormwater Lower Impact Fees, $156,000. Can you explain that one to me?
Yes, that is stormwater construction at 1800 South and 40th West.
Okay, so is this is what Joe and those guys have been doing all winter long and all spring long?
Yes.
To get him ready?
That's right.
Okay, so this finishes, the way this comes out in our warrant report, this looks like it's a check that we're writing to Randy Marriott. Is it such? Is this the work that he said that he wanted to do on that and we approved? You see what I mean? In other words, I know Joe was out there working on some of this, but that appears to be a check to Randy Marriott. And if it is, we authorized Randy to do some of that. And I just want to make sure that's what that is.
Yeah, the check is cut out to Randy Marriott Construction.
Yeah. Well, once again, this is a large sum, and I'm not prepared to vote on that because I don't know what it is.
Okay, so do you want to make a motion to exclude that from?
Well, let me go to the next one,
Okay.
and we'll see where we're at. The next one is Stonehenge of Ogden, statutory non-department special project, $35,000.
CARES Act funding.
Okay, CARES Act funding, great. Okay, then the only one of those that I didn't we don't have an answer on is Randy Marriott.
You want to make a motion to take that off of the consent?
Yeah, let me go through the next one, and I'll answer that. There's one other one I had here I wanted to go through. $86,896 for KH Printing Lithographer. Elections printing.
Yes.
You know, is that for ballots, or is it for a machine, or?
It is, hold on one second, let me,
The upcoming election, isn't it?
yeah.
That it is. That much I know, but I don't know what it is.
And you said 86,000?
Uh-huh. It's not right on the first page. $86,896.
Yes, that is.
3069.
That's in September. That's primarily for ballot printing. They're
Okay.
the printer that does.
All right. I didn't know that. You just want to, make sure you're on top of these big amounts. 38,000, Energy Management Corporation for capital improvements. When it says capital improvements, that's like big as the sky. You don't know what that equates to.
Let me pull that up.
Normally I'm down pretty good where I can understand and identify these, but once in a while you get to these you just can't identify.
This is the generator for the Eden Valley Tower.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. We knew that was
It's the
coming.
generator, Ricky?
Yeah.
Is that for the TV translator district then, or that tower, or that and the radios and everything else up there on that tower? Thank you.
Yeah, we knew that was coming.
Sean, do you want to explain that?
Yes. That is correct. So the generator will be shared between us, Verizon Wireless, and the district that all occupies that area.
We've had discussions on that
Right,
generator.
we've had discussions on that one.
Correct.
That and I'm aware of. Like I say, it just isn't identified.
And I do have information for you on the Randy Marriott construction.
Okay, go ahead.
That was a storm drain upsizing out on 1800 South, 1800 South, 4000 West. So we had someone who had a sewer issue out there. And this was an emergency situation because they couldn't have sewer access to their home. So we had to upsize that drain and help them get around, because their sewer line was interfering with our storm drain system. So we had to completely replace that. They had to replace their sewer line. We hired Randy Marriott Construction to do that work.
Yeah, I remember this very well.
Correct. We did have that conversation.
Yeah, we did have this conversation. I'd never expected it to be $156,000. You know, this seems to be, this must have turned into a monstrous project.
It did turn into a bigger project.
Because it turned, at the beginning, my recollection was either one had to be raised, the other lowered, or vice versa.
And I believe we went a little bit further than we had originally intended as well to get the fall and to make it all work based on that upsizing.
Yeah. All right. You know, ones like this, Gary needs to come back and report to us.
I agree. I just called him actually, and that's the information that he gave me.
Because what ends up happening is this hits you like this, and instantly it's like, whoa, 156 grand. That's, you know, that's not a $10,000 bill. This is monstrous.
No, my guess is he's going to come back and say, now remember, we talked about this.
Well, I will too, but the point is on the front side, something ends up being represented as a not too big of a deal, and when you end up getting a bill for $156,000, that's a pretty big deal.
Correct.
All right. I'm
Yeah,
sorry to be a little bit of a stick in the
do you
mud
want
on this.
No,
but,
I think that, and I do remember those discussions, but I'm with
Yeah.
Commissioner Jenkins. I don't remember that we had any dollar amount. Maybe we didn't at that point in time.
I will get you that detailed information.
But yeah, I would appreciate that information, you know, for those sums, like, you know, in certain amounts that are significant, that we have a heads up on what the dollar amount is.
Sure.
And Commissioner Jenkins, if I may,
Yeah,
Mr.
go ahead.
Chair. Brian Barron would be happy to come down and explain that architect agreement in more openly in public if you'd like him to right now, if you'd like that.
Well, apparently we've heard it, and I just didn't recall it, so no, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So, you know,
Ryan, right there.
just so you know, when I was mayor of Plain City, once in a while, you get into deep water projects that are heavily watered, and there takes a very high level of expertise. And I understand that. We called on Randy many times for that exact thing, because you start on a project and all of a sudden it turns into something that you just don't have the expertise to cover or to handle. And so Randy bailed us out as a city many times. And so I don't in any way disparage him or say what happened was wrong. It just ends up, and these projects happen like this once in a while. They just turn into something big.
Correct.
And all I'm trying to do is, you know, you're asking me to approve a $156,000 bill, and I didn't know anything about it. It's just that simple.
And part of it is, this is impact fee money as well, and that's likely why it was extended, because this is an improvement and an upsizing.
And I don't have any problem with
Sure.
it. It's just that it ends up being so much, I feel like I need an accounting before I can vote on it.
That makes sense.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. So we have Mr. Brian Barron. Do you want him to go over the library?
Brian, I'm okay with it. You don't need to come make a presentation.
We have the expert here. Okay, you okay with that? All right.
I'm not only okay, I would make the motion to approve the warrants.
All right.
Well, in fact, I'd make the okay,
Consent items?
approve all the consent items, the motion.
Thank you. We have a second?
Second.
Maybe. Ricky, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, we have some purchase orders. The big purchase order this week was $422,000 for the jail to update the door locking controls throughout the jail. Any other large ones? Parking structure demolition, we paid $177,000 so far, or on this last check run. Egyptian theater lighting upgrade, $117,000. And then we talked about the ballots printing for elections. Library had $71,000 in books, materials, utilities, and building maintenance. And they had some, the roads department bought some asphalt, and that's about it.
So Ricky, the Egyptian theater and the parking lot are both partial payments, right?
Yes.
Payments while they're being served. All right.
Okay, additional comments before I place the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. Consent items are approved. Commissioner Jenkins, I just want to say, you know, I appreciate you looking at those in detail. You know, I go through those, and sometimes I have questions, sometimes I remember what happened 3 weeks ago, sometimes I don't, but, you know, as I get older, I understand what situation you're in. So.
Oh, wow. That kind of hurt. Right here.
You know, that 2 year, that 2
Yeah.
years can come back to haunt you.
That's true.
All right, thank you for that. In all seriousness, I appreciate you bringing those
Well,
up.
thanks. I appreciate you indulging me.
Okay, let's move on to some fun action items. Action item 1, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Gage H4, that sounds familiar, for the purchase of a privately property owned by the Floor Family Trust and Floor Family Investment LLC for road right-of-way purposes. So I'm going to turn this over to Scott Mendoza. Since this deals with a trust I'm involved with, I'm going to recuse myself for the public record on any vote. Scott, do you want to explain the situation on this?
You bet. Thank you, Commissioner. It's been about a year ago. The roads department took on this project. What Weber County did was perform some maintenance work and some improvement work on 7900 East Street. They worked on about 2,700 feet of that street, and that street is also commonly referred to as Burley Lane. The maintenance and the improvement work, it consisted of installing 3 storm drain culverts and 1 water line conduit. They added some road-based material and they regraded the road. They reestablished the shoulder, and they actually laid brand new asphalt along that whole entire 2,700-foot stretch. In addition to that work, what the county decided to do then was realign that street slightly. There was a slight horizontal curve, and for safety purposes, the county decided that it was appropriate to try to purchase some private property and straighten that curve out. That led the county to the Frower Family Trust and Frower Family Investments LLC. Politely asked if those entities would be willing to sell the property. It was a request to purchase about 4,209 square feet for $6,100. And that's all I have as far as a presentation. If you have any questions on that real estate purchase
Mr.
agreement.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a statement here. So we had citizens up in that neighborhood who had been approaching us prior to Commissioner Frohr even being elected to asphalt that road. And we told them that it wasn't in the rotation, and they said, we understand it's not, but we're willing to help. And we said, what do you mean by help? And they said, we want to donate some money to the county to do this. And it's like, really? How much can you come up with? And we kind of give them a goal of what we wanted them to put in. And they came back to us sometime later, prior to Commissioner Frohr being on the commission, and said, we've got that money. We're ready now. So we approved that. And then they come back at the roads department come back at a later date and said, look, if we're going to do this, to comply with what's necessary in the corners on the roads, we really need to take the edge off that sharp piece of property that comes out. And it just so happens that now the new commissioner that's in play happens to, his family trust happens to own that corner. So we were not involved, Commissioner Harvey and I. The negotiation took place outside of us, just like it would any other citizen. And his family trust graciously decided that they would accommodate the county. Now, I want to say that. They would accommodate the county. We went to them to try to straighten that road out. They didn't necessarily want to sell it, but to be nice and to try to make that comply, they came to us, or they agreed after we approached them that they would sell that, and we approved that. Commissioner Harvey, is that correct?
That's correct. Those those discussions, you said the road was done about a year ago, which is correct. It was done about a year ago.
Okay.
But the planning on that road actually started at least probably 3 years ago is when we really started fielding those. And then when Commissioner Jenkins came on, headed up the road department, then it's where it really took some steam and got some legs. And that was 7 months before. So it was in that time period that where really things picked up. And and I think it's worked out good. The one thing I do want to point out is that with the dirt roads that the county does have, is it washboards every year, and we have to go up and do a grader. There's extra maintenance required when we don't have paved roads. And so this actually has an ongoing or a longer lasting expense going down. And so I remember, I will say this, that I remember there was one person who wasn't in favor of paving the road, and it was actually Gage wasn't in favor back then, but somehow the neighbors got with him and worked it out. So I was hoping that would happen, and it did. And so the neighborhood, they raised a substantial amount of money to make that happen. We can't just pave every dirt road in the county. That's just not how it works.
Commissioner,
Neighbors, yeah.
my recollection was it was about 2/3 of the expense of that road they raised.
That's like 25,000, 30,000 they raised, wasn't it?
Oh, it was more than that. Yeah, it was about 2/3, and I would openly say that anybody else that will raise 2/3 of the expense of doing their dirt road in unincorporated county, we'd probably consider that.
Yeah, it'd move up higher on the list.
Certainly.
Commissioner Harvey, I do agree with you. I think because of the improvements that have been done, it's going to actually relieve the roads department somewhat because they won't have to show up year after year and do that annual maintenance. So this was a good thing for the county as well. And if I can add, the process that we followed, what we had done was we asked for an administrative compensation estimate. This is something that follows the state's law as the state goes out and acquires right-of-way for roads. So we followed that process. It was quite a process, and that's how the value was determined. It was through a very clear and open process. So
That's good to hear, Scott. You know, everybody knew that this was sensitive because one of the commissioners owned that corner. And so we made sure that everything was done by the book. And I'm grateful for you and your exactness in doing that.
well, I won't say Commissioner Frower, but Mr. Frower, as a property owner, was gracious and accepted the packet. I mean, it was quite a packet of information that was presented and required his review. So that took a lot on his part to even go through all that information.
Right.
Yeah, we're thankful for that.
Well, thanks. Any additional comments or questions? I would just say, Scott, in my dealings, the packet you put together, again, it was completely hands-off as far as I was concerned as far as value. I said, you go through your process, and whatever numbers you generate, I'm going to be comfortable with. If you do that with all the other citizens in this county, I think they're well served. So
Thank you.
You do a great job, and you did a great job for that.
I appreciate that.
I know my neighbors put up a substantial amount of money, and the road's in far better condition. And I would agree that if you look at the maintenance cost, including the snow plowing, the grading, the magnesium that was put on that road at least once this summer,
Yeah.
I think the cost will probably go down, but
Yeah.
for the county. Anyway, with that,
Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
if you're ready to accept a motion,
Am.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve that contract as presented by Mr. Mendoza, item G1 on our agenda.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair recuses.
Aye.
Will you bring your mic down when you speak, please?
Aye. Yeah, thanks.
So that's 2 ayes and 1 recuse.
Recuse, yeah.
Commissioners, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. All right, let's go to action item G2, discussion and/or action on a proposal to appoint bail commissioners for the Sheriff's Department. We had actually a presentation on this yesterday. I don't believe Commissioner Harvey was there, but we have with us Aaron Perry? No,
No,
Aaron Perry's not here.
Lieutenant Brian Baggs presenting for Aaron
Brian's here.
Perry.
I didn't recognize you with your mask on. Okay.
Yeah.
That's appropriate for a sheriff. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Title 17, Chapter 32 of the Utah Code allows for the governing body of the county to appoint members of the Sheriff's Office as bail commissioners. The duties of a bail commissioner may receive bail for felony offenses and set and receive bail for misdemeanor offenses and violations of county ordinance. Why it's important to do this, judges in the state of Utah have 24 hours to review a probable cause statement and set bail. So we could have an individual arrested on a very low-level offense and be held up to 24 hours when, if we have bail commissioners, they can be set on their way and out, have bail and be gone in accordance with the 8th Amendment. Also ensures that we're not doing unnecessary searches and some other things. It also makes sure that we're not clogging up our admissions area. In doing this, there's no additional cost to the county. It'll be an auxiliary function of the sheriff's office staff. We propose that we have 10 bail commissioners appointed. That'll allow for 24-hour-a-day coverage. And I have the list of those that we would propose to do. I don't know if I need to read that off in this meeting if it's approved, but that's all I have.
I think we've seen your list, so if there's any questions on those people, these are all current employees. The idea there is to make sure that you have one of these people available on a 24/7 basis.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
How does this affect the private companies or the bail bondsmen that run a private business?
It doesn't. So this would actually allow the individual to have bail set earlier, so there's no effect. We set bail based on the uniform bail schedule, or the uniform fine schedule, excuse me, that changed a few years ago, which recommends a bail for most offenses, and for the ones that doesn't, Class A misdemeanors, it's set at a certain amount.
Okay. Great. I don't have any questions, Mr. Chair.
So these are not felonies, misdemeanors only?
Misdemeanors only.
Yeah, that's right.
State law, a magistrate has to set bail on a felony.
So really what this does, it brings us in compliance with state statute, number one.
Yes, sir.
Number two, it allows us to not clog up our jail with these minor offenses, that they might remain in jail 24 hours, especially under current COVID situations where we don't want to have them in the jail 24 hours. The ability to have staff at the sheriff set bail, let them go to the bail's bond, and have them out in a more timely fashion.
Yes, sir.
Would that all be correct?
That is.
Thank you. Questions, commissioners?
None.
Thank you. I think that's a great proposal. I'm ready for a motion.
Motion to approve the proposal to appoint the bail commissioners as presented by Reinbach.
Thank you. That would include the commissioners on the list then.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And I'd second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian?
Oh, when you say that includes the commissioners on the list, that is not us as commissioners.
No, the
That's
commissioners that presented
I
on
know.
his.
I just want to make sure the public realized
Yeah.
when you said that, that did not mean us three.
No, we're not the bail commissioners.
Okay.
I try to stay away from that place. Okay, let's go to agenda action item 3, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Freedom Riders for the 2021 Freedom Riders season dates at the Golden Spike Event Center. Duncan Olson, I thought we'd already done this.
So this is actually for 2021.
Oh, wow,
we
we're
did
moving ahead.
We did the 2020.
Okay.
They've got a new president, new person in charge,
Okay.
and they're wrapping their 2020 season up. And we wanted to make sure we took care of them and got them squared
Great.
away for 2021, just because this year's been so crazy and they lost their president, and we just wanted to make sure that we were on the up and up with them as they were leaving. So similar
that.
contract, discounted rate for such an awesome program.
Comments, questions? Commissioner Harvey, this is in your portfolio.
Yeah, this is again, this is therapeutic riding for people with disabilities, and it's a fantastic service. Another one of those little known about, one of the things that the county does to help those with disabilities, and I'm absolutely 100% in favor of it, and would recommend that we approve this contract, commissioners.
Thank you. That's a motion, right?
I'll make that in form of a motion.
Thank you.
And I will second it with a comment.
Go ahead.
I had several contact me about this and talk to me about it, and they're grateful the fact we discount this, and they're also grateful because of what this does for these handicapped kids. And this is a wonderful facility, allows them to get out of the weather. These kids all have different forms of handicaps, and many of them are very sensitive to animals and the outdoors and everything, and this allows this to be in a very controlled circumstance. And so I'm very sensitive to this, and I'm grateful for it, and I wholeheartedly second that motion.
Okay, great program. Any additional comments? If not, I'll place the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. We're approved. Duncan, you're still up. Request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Spartan Race, Inc. to hold the Hurricane Heat Race at the Golden Spike Event Center.
Yeah, and this one's actually a ratification, and it's completely on me. We had a baby, and it got lost in the shuffle. It should have been before you back in July, and so it was.
You're not talking about the baby that got lost in the shuffle.
No, we still have
got lost in the shuffle.
We have the baby, healthy.
Okay.
She's good. But we wanted to help out with Visit Ogden to bring in the Spartan to make sure that we could keep them in good company, knowing that we have one of the largest races that they hold here in Utah. And so we reached out, so we gave them a discount on using a portion of our cross-country track. They came in. It's different than most Spartan races where it's this big long race. They actually come in and they get put into teams, and they have challenges that they have to overcome as a group, and it was kind of a neat little thing. It lasted all day on a Saturday, and so we discounted it, but we ended up making money on our water jump and some areas that we weren't expecting. So not only did we buy favor with Spartan, but we made some money too.
When was this?
This was July, I want to say the 25th of July.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed it. All right,
They're
good.
actually good. We've been in talks to do a couple more of these in November, so hopefully it bought us some more business as well.
That's great. Questions or comments, commissioners?
This is another example of us, our team being able to figure out a way to operate safely during this pandemic, and appreciate the work you've done in advance so that we can accept contracts like this and continue to generate revenue for our facilities.
I would just say the Spartan organization is a great organization in my past, and they've had great luck, great success here in Weber County, and so it's a feather in our cap that they keep coming back.
Right.
Because they have the resources to go about anywhere they want to go.
Yeah, most people will pay them a lot of money to go wherever.
Yeah, some of these counties actually pay. So, additional questions or comments, commissioners? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion that we approve the contract by and between Weber County and the Spartan Race for the Hurricane, or ratify that contract for the Spartan Race for the Hurricane Heat event.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
And we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you. You have a contract. 5, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the AMP Live Events, LLC, to hold the Master X Tour / Ogden at the Golden Spike Event Center. Mr. Olson?
Yeah, so this one's, we're excited about this one. We're going to have monster trucks at the outdoor stadium, and this is probably the first time that I've come before you to ask for a fee increase. Normally I'm asking you to decrease money, but this time I'm asking you to allow us to increase our fees because of the light situation. We're currently looking at changing our fee ordinance for our lights because we turn those outdoor stadium lights on and it just drains our pocket. And so because of the situation with the coronavirus and they're having to stagger their shows, they did want to have lights on for an extended period of time, and we told them that we were going to have to charge them a little bit more money for that. Granted, you guys approved that.
Great. Good to know. Questions, commissioners?
Commissioners, I'll make the motion that we approve the contract. G5 is presented by Mr. Olson.
Thank you.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Olson, looks like you're still on. Request for approval of a resolution of the County Commissioners of Weber County reappointing members to the Golden Spike Event Center Advisory Board. This is a resolution. Resolution number 27.
Yeah, this is to reappoint Keith and Rich Koski. They have been awesome members of our board. They They're actually the chair and past chair of our arena board currently. They're willing to help. They're willing to show up to the German Fest or the Icebreaker Rodeo and sit on a door. They've been really great assets for us and our board, and I'd like to have them reappointed.
Good. Commissioner Harvey, this is your portfolio.
No, and Keith's doing a wonderful job as chair. Of course, he works for Wadman, and they've been very philanthropic with our facility. And Rich used to work for the CVB. These are good appointments, and they're members that actually do something. I'm very much in favor of this, and this would be a resolution, Mr. Chair. So I'd make a recommendation that we approve the resolution appointing Keith Buswell and Rich Koski back to the Golden Spike Event Center Board.
Thank you.
If that was a motion, I'd second it.
I think you said it was a motion, right?
A motion for the resolution, yeah.
Resolution
Yeah,
27.
I think it said recommendation.
Sorry. You're probably right. I stand corrected.
All right.
Or I sit corrected.
All right, Commissioner Jenkins?
Roll call vote.
Commissioner Jenkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
And Chair Farrar?
Aye. Thank you, Duncan. Approved.
Awesome, thank you.
Let's move to item 7, which is also Resolution 28, dealing with centrally assessed properties. This is a request for approval of a resolution of the County Commissioners of Weber County authorizing the filing of cross appeals for the 2020 centrally assessed properties. Mr. Cortland Erickson, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
You want to explain what we're doing here?
Yes, Commissioners. I was before you a couple months ago on a similar resolution to be presented to you for one particular taxpayer, Pacific Corp. The centrally assessed taxpayers have a period of about 3 months during which they can appeal the tax commission's assessment. The county has to respond if we want to join the case as a party within 60 days or only 2 months. Pacific Corp got right on it at the beginning of May, so we had to, or sometime in May, so we had to respond by July. These others waited until the end of July after that initial resolution to file their appeals. So this resolution would authorize the county and direct the attorney's office to file a cross appeal, it's called, to get into those cases as a party, to have a seat at the table in any negotiations, and to basically have a say in what happens. So 4 additional taxpayers in this case are T-Mobile, CenturyLink, Union Pacific, and AT&T. So if you approve this resolution, we will become parties to those cases and have a seat at the table.
Got it. And we've had this discussion some time ago.
Yes. Yeah, for Pacific Corp, we already filed the appeal, the cross appeal this year. These are 4 more that came in after that.
Got it. Okay. Questions, commissioners?
No, I remember this. So I'll make, when you're ready, Mr. Chair.
I'm ready.
I'll make the motion that we approve this resolution as presented by Mr. Erickson.
Okay.
I'll second it.
And we have a second. So just for clarification, Cortland, basically what this does, it doesn't obligate the county, it just gives us the ability to have a seat, as you say, at the table and offer input that we may have that may be outside the scope or information that the other attorneys may have.
Correct.
Okay.
And typically it's just for the most part, as a practical matter, it's a matter of agreeing or not agreeing to any settlement proposals.
And then any resolution or any outcome, we would still have to agree to in principle.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. No further discussion. Place the motion. Roll call vote. Resolution number 28.
Commissioner Jenkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Chair Farrar?
Aye. Thank you, Cortland. Motion passes. Let's go to commissioner comments. Commissioners?
No comments today, Commissioner Chair, Mr. Chair, but I would make a motion that we adjourn to a closed session to discuss legal matters pertaining to the county.
Thank you.
If it's okay to also add to that motion to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of a water right or water shares.
I would amend my motion to include that recommendation.
And I will second it.
Okay, so we have a motion to go into closed session.
It's a
based
roll
on that
call.
Roll call vote.
information, go ahead.
Commissioner Jenkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
And Chair Four?
Aye. Thank you. We're in closed session. We'll be back after the closed session.